What should you do if you see someone preparing to kill another human being?
No, he just put a magazine in it and he's still trying to load it.
Sadly, it's captured on video, and we'll talk about that with noted criminal defense attorney Tom Grieve. Before we do that, I'll let you know we have a giveaway going on. It's happening right now. It's absolutely free and it ends really soon. Click the link in the description down below to learn what you can win. Tom, this is a very disturbing video that comes to us from out of St. Louis, and we see a guy on the street. He's clearly working on his firearm, and the sound in the background said, I think I heard a gunshot. So maybe a gunshot has been fired. We didn't see one being fired, but I'm really upset that the person doing the video didn't call 911.
There he goes.
And he's getting his gun ready, and the video ends with disturbing images and comments. And we see this guy getting his gun loaded. Now, this is 45 seconds of video. And I get really tired of people who are videotaping stuff like this, and videotaping shows my age, who are shooting video of things like this and doing nothing to stop what's going on out there. Here's a guy trying to get his gun loaded and functioning. In 45 seconds, you probably could have crossed that space and at least tackled him or got in a fight with him or something to prevent this. Or if you were carrying your own gun, does this rise to imminent deadly threat? Clearly, that's how it ended.
That's how it ended. I mean, look, this video really touches on a lot of different fault lines that we have, because let's imagine that the guy taking the video, and I don't know if he's alone or with someone else, and with the echoing and so forth, I don't know if you pick it up, you know, those of you watching the video, he clearly is inside.
Yeah, he was inside somewhere, and you could see reflection on the glass.
He's watching through glass, that's right. So if he were to go outside and if he were to employ deadly force, and prior to the executor executing the victim, you know what would happen.
Yeah, he wasn't going to do it.
We all know what happened. He wasn't going to do it. You know, you didn't hear anything, yada, 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 yada. I think, and look, I have no idea who any of these people are. I've read a news article about this and so forth. We do know that the gentleman who is the victim died from this, from a single gunshot wound to the head, as I understand it. But I think that part of the problem, to my mind, is that there's a lot of prosecutors out there, by no means all, okay? I'm saying a lot. Is that more than 50%, less than 50%? Is that 10%? Is that 90%? It's going to vary from place to place, okay? There's a lot of prosecutors out there who do not like anyone other than law enforcement using force. They have a political axe to grind that the government should have a monopolization on force, and as a result, if I'm the one taking this video, which first off, that's not me. I'm not somebody who...
Yeah, I'm the one calling 911 immediately.
Yeah, it wouldn't even cross my mind to take videos. We're not from the generation of, like, I'm going to have my cell phone out and take videos all the time. But what would be going through my mind is, should I risk my life and my future? Because, you know, you could shoot the bad guy. Let's say you have perfect clairvoyant knowledge that this guy's about to execute that guy, just hypothetically, right? Crystal ball's working that day. Okay, that doesn't mean that if you shoot the bad guy, he immediately goes down like Hollywood and falls over and that's it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
You could miss, your firearm could jam, you could hit him perfectly, square on center mass, and he could turn around, pump two into your chest. I mean, there's, and those are just the physical kinetic threats. I mean, we mentioned the legal, but obviously there's also the legal consequences as well, which is the fact that even if you do everything possible correct, the simple fact of the matter is that the prosecutor's opening and closing arguments are scripted.
Yes.
This guy thinks he heard a gunshot, and look, presumably there's a shell casing and stuff like that there, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, a gunshot, you're gonna have to argue successfully in court as the defense attorney, as the defendant, that your actions rose to the point of being lawful because the bad guy's actions rose to the point of creating an imminent deadly threat, or whatever the particular self-defense deadly force formulation is in Missouri, that, hey, the discharging of a firearm and standing over the guy while putzing with your firearm, that equals a clear and deadly threat against the other individual. And I can think of so many prosecutors, unfortunately, who are going to say, nope, you call 911, you wait.
Yeah. At the police academy, they made us memorize the idea that, we may use deadly force against any action that imminently threatens to cause or has caused death or great bodily harm to another. So after that shot, after we hear the shot and see the results of the shot, are we then privileged to use deadly force to stop him from going and doing it again? Or I know that as a police officer, my gun would be out, and I don't know if I would be firing, but I would certainly be giving verbal commands and telling him to drop the gun and get down on the ground. And if he didn't do it immediately, I certainly would shoot him because he'd already just shot someone.
And the operative phrase there is as a police officer, right?
And as a private citizen, as a witness to this, can you make the statement to the investigating officer, well, I assumed that this person was going to use deadly force against someone else, and I had to stop him?
You can absolutely use that. Whether the prosecutor, judge, and jury are going to buy it are going to be another thing. And let me be clear. In Tom's ethical world, perfect ethical world, there's a clear-cut answer to that question of if you just watch someone murder another person in cold blood, then they are an obvious threat to whoever else. And what are we supposed to do? Wait until the guy turns the gun on someone else, or whatever weapon? It doesn't have to be a gun. It could be a knife. It could be a car. It could be whatever, right? Right. Now, okay, if he puts down the firearm and is apparently armed with nothing else, arguably of a different situation, right? And keep in mind, we know statistically that the majority of the time when a bad guy is confronted with a victim who's armed, they run away. So if we're just playing the statistics game, odds are that even if you do confront that individual, he's probably just going to run away. Now, maybe he's feeling different after he just discharged his firearm on someone, after he just murdered someone. But bringing this home back to your question, I would hope that a reasonable prosecutor can clearly understand that you just watch someone murder another human being without any seeming provocation or without any kind of remorse or hesitation or anything like that. Yeah, that person's a clear and deadly threat, at a minimum until they're disarmed.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
But that's my ideal world. Here in the real world that we live in, as I mentioned before, the prosecutor's arguments write themselves. Now, I'm not saying every prosecutor is going to charge you, but if they do, you're going to be fighting for your life legally afterwards in court.
Yeah, and as I watched this, the guy sitting on the curb posed no threat. He did not appear to be an imminent threat to this guy. The man with the gun could not, in any stretch of my imagination, claim self-defense. But what makes me angry is again, people pulling out the phone and capturing this stuff on video and not calling 911. Now, sir, police response times being what they are, the cops wouldn't have got there in time to stop this event anyway. But for me, I don't know what's wrong with people. I don't want to capture this on my phone. I want to see this stopped somehow, whether I have to stop it or somebody else has to stop it or something like that. I don't understand the philosophy of get the phone out and get this on video.
And that's where, maybe to your earlier point, can you take a position with strong cover and try to give verbal commands to the guy before he pulls the trigger of like, I don't like this, I'm going to intervene and I'm going to grab a position with maximum cover, and I get it. Like, I get it. I'm suspect where a lot of the viewers are going to fall on this, and I'm not pushing back on that. But this goes back to something you and I have been talking about now for the better part of a decade together, which is the fact that this is jumping into the Shark Tank.
Yes.
That's what this is, both physically as part of your kinetic force encounter, as well as legally. You are choosing to involve yourself, and I am 0% suggesting that you should not do it. But I'm also 0% saying that you must do it. This needs to be a personal moral, spiritual, legal risk that you're going to be taking.
And you're absolutely right. The legal aftermath, the physical aftermath, you know, people always assume they're going to win the fight. And even in a perfect cover, whatever, the guy gets around off and blinds you because it hits the concrete or whatever that is. But then the psychological aftermath, and that comes whether you pulled out your gun or not. Is this guy who shot this video now thinking I could have done something else rather than shoot the video? And had he been there with a gun and shot the bad guy, is he then for the rest of his life thinking I could have done something else? I mean, this goes on forever. Whatever this is, whatever happens at the end of this, this goes on forever for the people involved.
And as you said, it cuts both ways, right? Because this guy, I mean, I don't know if he's armed or not armed. I'm going to presume based on how he's acting, he doesn't seem like he's in a self-protection or, you know, he's not in the Second Amendment game, so to speak, right? But right, a failure to act or an inaction also is going to leave you permanently second-guessing yourself too.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, thank you again for your insight. It's always a pleasure talking with you. Indeed, disturbing, but thank you for giving us some insight on this.
Thanks, Kevin.
Want to know the 3 biggest mistakes when carrying a handgun? Then click on the video next to me to reveal all 3 mistakes. Mistake number 2 may shock you. Everybody has their own cardinal rules for what they're going to do when they're carrying a gun, but right now I'm going to give you 3 things that you must never do